Hello folks and welcome back to the channel. What we have here is a subject of immunity. Now the Supreme Court, concerned about the recent decisions, have overturned long-standing legal precedents affecting civil rights and women's rights and raising questions about court fairness and independence. And the ethic issues that involving some justice have led public distrust into the court's ability to deliver impartial justice. Now, President Biden recently announced bold plans to reform the Supreme Court and ensure that no president is above the law. From his first day in office and every day since then, Biden has taken action to strengthen American democracy and protect the rule of law. Now, in recent years, the Supreme Court has overturned long-established legal precedent, protecting fundamental rights. This court has granted civil rights protections, taken away women's rights to choose, and now granted the president broad immunity from prosecution for crimes they commit in office. At the same time, recent ethics scandals involving some justices have caused the public to question the fairness and independence that are essential to the courts in faithfully carrying out the mission to deliver justice for all Americans. Now, President Biden believes that there is no one, neither the president or Supreme Court, is above the law. Now, in the face of this crisis of confidence in American democratic institutions, President Biden is calling 3 bold reforms to restore trust and accountability. The first one is no immunity for crimes for a former president committed while in office. Now, President Biden shares the founders' beliefs that the president's power is limited and not absolute, and must ultimately reside with the people. He is calling constitutional amendments that make clear that no president is above the law, immune from prosecution for crimes committed while in office. Now, this is something else, folks. This is something else. Now, no one is above the law amendment will state that the Constitution does not confer an immunity from federal criminal indictments, trial convictions, and sentencing by virtue or previously serving as presidents. There's term limits also for Supreme Court justice. Now, Congress approved term limits for the presidency over 75 years ago, and President Biden believes that they should do the same thing for the Supreme Court. The United States is the only major constitutional democracy that gives lifetime seats to high court justices. Now, term limits would help to ensure that the court membership changes with some regularity, makes timing for court nominations more predictable and less arbitrary, and reduce the chance that any single president imposes undue influence for generations to come. Now, President Biden supports a system in which the president would appoint a justice every 2 years to spend 18 years in active service on the Supreme Court. Now, binding code of conduct for the Supreme Court. Again, President Biden believes that the Congress should pass binding enforcement conduct ethics rule that require justices to disclose gifts, refrain from public political activity, and recuse themselves from cases in which they or their spouse have financial or other conflicts of interest. Supreme Court justices should not be exempt from the enforceable code of conduct that applies to every other federal judge. Now, President Biden and Vice President Harris look forward to working with Congress and empowering the American people to prevent the abuse of presidential power, restore faith in the Supreme Court, and strengthen the guardrails of democracy. President Biden thanks that the President's General Commission on Supreme Court of the United States for its insightful analysis of Supreme Court reform proposals. The administration will continue its work to ensure that no one is above the law in America and the people's rule. Now, this is something else. And again, the three reforms that are proposed by President Biden are as follows. The Supreme Court concerns with ethics scandals and Biden reforms and commitment to the rule of law. But when we look at the first one, no immunity for crimes a former president committed in office, and term limits for Supreme Court justices, and binding code of conduct for Supreme Court justices. This is something else, folks. It is something else. This is President Biden's announcement, the bold plan to reform the Supreme Court and to ensure that no president is above the law. Again, I want to thank you guys for watching. Remember, like, share, and subscribe. And I hope this keeps you abreast of the local news and what's taking place with the bold reform to the Supreme Court to ensure that no president is above the law. Tell me what you think about this in the comments as far as a president being above the law. It's a controversial subject. I sort of had some thoughts on it, but I'm not going to really talk about it right now. But I'm going to let you guys talk about it in the comments. And perhaps we can do another video that addresses that concern. Again, thanks for watching. Remember, like, share, and subscribe, and have a fantastic day.